Welcome back to PTBO Connect, everybody. Episode 11. We've got Mike from the Tragically Dipped joining us today. Thanks for coming, Mike. And we also want to introduce Chance. Chance is our general manager for Y Drive and Y Drive Eats. He heard donuts and he came running down the hall to join the podcast. So
can't deny it.
We'll jump right into it. Unless somebody hasn't read a newspaper, turned on the radio, or turned on the TV, they've heard of Tragically Dipped by now. But tell us a little bit about your store on George Street.
So we're on Water.
Oh, sorry. On Water. We're other side.
But we're there.
Yeah.
No, we opened quietly 3 weeks ago. I just put it on my Instagram. And I was building donuts at home, in my garage. I built like a commercial kitchen about 3.5 years ago, just to chase something that wasn't my job. And then it's turned into this. So I just quietly threw it out on Instagram and was like, hey, I'm going to soft open now that we got the okay from the city. And we've been sold out since I opened the doors. So people from all over Ontario are calling me looking for donuts. It's nuts.
We were talking. We were talking about.
We're no nuts donuts, by the way. There's no nuts in my facility.
Really?
Yeah. We're peanut free.
That's actually
free.
Cool.
We're tree nut free. My brother-in-law's allergic and like super anxious about food, so I was like, "There's no fucking way we can do that." So
yeah, no, 100%. This is, by the way, and I don't mean this is a negative at all. This is definitely the earliest we have to hit that button where we now have to.
Oh, did I swear?
It always happens eventually, which is perfectly fine.
I swear like a sailor. I'll do my best. I can't.
It's usually at the end that we have to hit the button.
Oh, I'm gonna do it the whole. I'm gonna do it the whole time.
Usually it's
I don't ever. I'm not like a speaker. I just make donuts.
I love
100%. I guess I don't.
No, I absolutely.
I didn't know we were like a PG show. I'll do my best.
Absolutely not.
I'm gonna be a little tense now, an East Coaster of the swearing. No, me, I'm gonna have to hold them back.
Yeah. I'm lit a fire now.
That's okay. Nobody will understand what you're saying, Chance. So we were actually talking about that earlier today. So I was in Alberta working on some Y Drive stuff when you launched. And when I got back, I was like, holy cow, what is this place? Like, it's everywhere. Yeah. And Joel was saying today that I think his wife has an order in for like 2 Saturdays from now in order to get some. Great. Like it's backed up.
We'll see her then.
And you were joking when you showed up today and you walked in empty-handed. And
I
you're
would
like,
have brought you donuts.
Don't have any.
People bought them all.
Yep, that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, like I started like 3 weeks ago. I had my recipe that I worked out easily 4Xs, so that's what I started with. And I did a 4X run times 5.
Yep.
Thinking that's the most donuts I'd ever made at that point, and they were gone by 9 a.m. And I was like, well, shit. So then I did it.
Go home, done.
That's exactly what I did because they took everything.
Yep.
I was like, well, now what? So we like doubled it and then doubled it again, and then we've hit. So I do 13 batches at night. So I start at 11 and I do a batch every 20 minutes until we get those 13 batches. And that's like our limit. Yeah. And they're still selling it. Like,
so are you able to continue production throughout the day or is it just,
I mean, so we close at 1 and the last batch of dough has to be out of the mixer by 8:30 to be out on the shelf by noon.
Okay.
And that one batch is like 76 donuts or 80 donuts, depending on who's cutting them.
So because of the prep time, you can't just all of a sudden, we're out, go make more. You have that 5 or 6 hour turnaround.
4.5 hour turnaround on the dough, just the dough. And then you got to cook it and proof it and prep it and dress it and let it cool a bit and fill it and all the stuff. So I make a set amount. I'm making way more than I thought I would.
Yep.
But we're just going to keep doing it this way. And if I sell out, if you're in the line, I apologize. But like,
if there's no donuts, there's no donuts.
Thanks for coming to get donuts, and we'll see you tomorrow, kind of thing. And
understandable.
And that's why we did the pre-orders, because if you had a birthday or if you wanted like a set amount or whatever, you can't. Our first day we didn't do this, and someone came in and cleared us. So there's a lineup behind them, and they bought like 4 boxes, and we had nothing left in the counter. I was like, well, wasn't expecting that. So
sorry guys, go home.
So but now it's like if you get in on the pre-orders, like we started launching those on Mondays at 10. And the first day it took 5 hours to sell out, and then this Monday we sold out in 52 minutes.
Yep.
And so we're gonna do it again on Monday. And I'm not people think the only way to get donuts is pre-order. Pre-order is 30% of what I make in a day. Okay. 70% hit our floor for pickup.
Yep.
But if you want guaranteed donuts, we have to set something aside. So 30% guaranteed to people that do it. And if they don't want to wait Monday till 10, I had a bunch of people sign up for my Patreon and they get Sunday access. So
cool.
So it's like a little hack.
Little VIP
Yeah,
club.
little VIP club. And they've been following me since I started building it. So it's like a pretty hardcore group of fans, which is really good.
Well, and that's actually how the conversation came up today, is I jokingly said, because you're the first guest, I think, that has nothing to do with Why Drive or Why Drive Eats. And it just happened that way. It's our circle of people. So like Steve that owns a company that transports exotic animals, and Haven Brewing carries our product, or sorry, like we deliver their product. And so it just always worked out that way, that somebody had some sort of tie back to it. So I said to Joel jokingly, I'm like, oh, stick around. You got to get this guy to get us delivering donuts. And he's like, doesn't matter, man. You can't get donuts for 2 weeks. He's like, there's no point in us saying we're going to deliver them. There's no donuts to deliver.
To line up like everybody else.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about the work up to it, as we kind of alluded to before we started recording. It wasn't just a quit your job, jump in, start making donuts. There was a long runway to get to the point of opening.
Yeah. So I guess I started burning out before COVID.
Yep.
And then COVID hit and it fried me right out. And then I couldn't go to work, and then I didn't know what I was going to do. So I spent a couple of months getting therapy and level, and then sober. And then I started chasing donuts. It was either that or go to Costco. And like, I don't have people skills, as you can probably tell. So that's why they keep me in the back making dough. Like, I had to hire people for the front, because my wife's like, you're not gonna be able to handle these people. And I'm like, yeah, I can. It's fine. The first day I was like, fuck this, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I leave me in the back.
Yep.
I'm here all night, and like, I'm good until 4, and then people start showing up at 4 to work, and it's like, oh, it's getting loud and hectic. I don't like it. You know,
it's nice.
So I'm just trying not to be a grumpy asshole and kind to everybody, and it's been.
Chance and I are lucky in that sense when it comes to the customer service side for Y Drive. We can kind of pick and choose when we want to get out there. Like, Chance can jump in his car and go and drive, but then all of a sudden, if he's like, all right, I'm over this right now. Like, it's the last few customers were a struggle, or you had a tough run or a long distance run, you can jump off. Yeah.
I don't want to be rude to my customers, but like, if you catch me the right way on a wrong day, I'll take your head off.
Yep.
Yeah. That's my shit. That's my damage, and it sucks, but it is what it is, and I'm working on it. But like, that's why I had to quit my job. Like, I'm screaming my way down the highway to go work. It was wild.
That's just the honest part of it, though. Like, every business owner. So business owners, to me, always have an underlying passion, and passion usually comes out in an explosive and passionate way. Yeah. Like, it's even the nicest of business owners still have that fire in them, because if they didn't, then they'd be working 9 to 5, collecting the same paycheck every week and not taking the chance. That same fire that comes out when you're frustrated, when you're stressed, when you're up against the wall, is also the reason that most of us dropped what we were doing and went and started something of our own, because we got fed up with dealing with all the other stuff.
What opportunity is out for me? I don't have a lot of education behind me that is relevant anymore. And like, the skill set I had at my old job doesn't really translate to much in anything else. So what do? Right? So it was either Costco or buy donut stuff at Costco.
I got to be careful here too. I just realized that we keep like lighting this fire in people. Like, you know what, if you're fed up, go and stop working for somebody else. And I'm looking across the table like, crap, my general manager is going to quit really soon if I keep giving him these ideas.
You should go do your own thing though. No, I'm just kidding. I'm
trying with this place. I mean, consider where I came from, right? Like, corporate dude into not corporate dude.
If you were in corporate, the best advice I would give is get the hell out of corporate.
He actually came from am I allowed to say what you did?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so he was head of security and surveillance for a cannabis manufacturer, and
that's a little different.
Well, but it was the little things. Like, I would go to the fridge and I would grab before in the afternoon. I'd grab a couple American vintage hard iced teas, and I'd go to toss him one. That's a 2-pronged story right there. That's why he's laughing. But I'd go and give him one, and he'd be like, "No, it's okay." And I'd be like, "Oh, he just doesn't like drink. Like, do you drink? Like, what's going on?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "I don't like gifts." So he's like, "They make me feel uncomfortable," because in the corporate, especially in the security and surveillance, all of a sudden that gift or that little bit of generosity can be turned into a bribe, or can be turned into something in return.
I ran into that with the city. The city guys, I tried to give them coffee for coming out and doing my inspections. Like, I'd already passed my inspections.
Yep.
And they're like, we can't accept that.
So
they would happily purchase from me, but no one would take anything for free.
One of our best customers for Y Drive is also a manager of an LCBO in town, and we ran into that when we started Y Drive Eats. We needed a ton of information to get the LCBO on there and to get the ball rolling and what product should we carry. And he's like, listen, guys, so I approached him and I'm like, hey, let's work something out here. Like, I don't need your $20 a ride, but I do need your experience. And he goes, doesn't matter. He goes, I am not going to risk my job, my pension, my everything to help you out. He goes, I will help you. I will give you all the information I can give you without breaking a rule, but I'm still paying for my ride. He's like, it is not worth the risk of having somebody be like, he's doing something he shouldn't be doing. And totally respect that.
And now people throw you under the bus pretty easily.
Yeah.
Like for no reason.
Yep.
And now you're online or whatever. And it's like,
anything that's viewed as a conflict of interest, whether it is or isn't, it's pointed out immediately.
People are all over that kind of stuff. So
but at the same time, it's also nice to have his background here, because there are times where we'll be doing something just kind of like fly by night, like just like, this makes sense in our own head at this exact moment. He'll be like, slow down, guys. Let's think about this from like a structured corporate point of view.
You had like a corporate team you'd sit down with and figure stuff out with, right?
He's maybe that's not a great idea to call that person and say that thing right now. So definitely there's two sides, as you kind of alluded to with girlfriend or wife you mentioned. Your wife. There are times where I'll have Erica go deal with something because I know I'm going to say it in a totally different way that she's going to.
I typically make my wife do that stuff.
Yeah.
If you're talking to me and it's like pleasant on the other end of the line or the email, it's usually her.
Yeah. She very she very often refers to herself in a negative context. Like, she's being sarcastic when she says it. She'll be like, I'm not your secretary. And I kind of want to be like, no, you're just the buffer between me and real people. Like,
my wife knows that she's like kind of my fuse a lot of the time. And then she's like, I'm going to do this because I know how you're going to do this. I've been with her for 16, 17 years now. So it's like, she knows what's up. She's seen it.
Yeah. Well, I've watched Chance even do it. Like, I'll walk in hot-headed in the morning with an idea or a problem or whatever, and I'll come in with 1,000 words a minute. And then after I leave the room, he'll be like, all right, so what are we doing, Erica? What's the logical thing to do here?
Give me the Coles notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But all right, so you ended up, you had mentioned that you did this out of your kitchen, out of your garage.
I built a kitchen in my garage, like with a 3-bay sink and all the stuff you need. But like the city didn't like that, so I didn't have an option to sell out of my kitchen. So I just ran like a little Instagram page and made a little logo and started getting a following, and people show up on my house on Fridays, pick up their donuts, and I'd make 18 boxes.
Okay.
On a max day, like on a big day, I'd make 18 boxes of 6. And now we're doing that every 30 minutes or something. So
that's impressive. I think I read something online and I didn't read the article, but did you try to or did convert to a food truck at some point?
Yeah.
So what happened with that?
Failed miserably.
Okay.
Three times in a row. Yeah.
Well, Peterborough doesn't allow food trucks, do they? Okay, that would be a good reason.
That's why I failed miserably, yeah.
Okay. So then you were like, okay.
So I thought chip trucks and food trucks, I know that they weren't allowed, and I know there's a bylaw in place that whatever the reason has gone to someone in Toronto and they own it. So like that Red Wagon or whatever it is, they've got those spots and no one can touch them. But that also stopped all the other food trucks from being able to come into town. So I was like, well, I'm going to go to a business owner and get an okay from them, private property, and then we'll go to the city. We went with one guy, we went engineered drawings, and the city came back and said, no, we need drainage, we need plumbing, we need electric. And so I went back to him and he's like, all right, we can do all that, no problem. Engineered drawings, here's your drawings. They're like, nah. It's like, oh, all right. I talked to a buddy of mine that works at the lift lock. He's like, provincial property. Like, he's like, we'll get a yes for you. And so they got me a yes, and they said, you can park it here. It was going to be right at the where they do the skating and stuff.
Okay.
And he's like, well, you'll have to pay to run the power to the power pole. Oof. But I was like, I'll do that because it was like less than 10 grand.
Okay.
And that's not bad for a startup. And like, it was a great little location for my truck. And city didn't like that. So they shut that one down too. And I was like, well, there that goes. And so I rent it right now to a guy out in Tyendinaga.
Is he doing the same product?
No, he's running
just the truck.
He's running
Tyendinaga is probably cannabis.
He's running a burger truck on a cannabis site.
Yeah. I'm familiar with it.
But ended up being a little right-sided, so it's created an interesting relationship for me. So it's he pays his rent, and makes good looking food, and I just leave it at that. Yeah.
Interesting. So what you needed a mayor to run on the entire platform of bringing food trucks to Peterborough, and then that was the luckiest thing that ever happened to us. I mean, we weren't even thinking rideshare until she's like, "We're bringing rideshare to Peterborough," and I kind of thought about it. And we're like, "No, Uber and Lyft are not coming. Like, this is going to be a surprise," and it worked out because once she ran on that platform, it got the entire city behind the idea.
Yeah.
Now you know how many people want it, and it made it a no-brainer to go and chase the dream.
You're watching it every other city like do these ride shares, and Peterborough's just like, nah. So what do you mean no? Like, we need this stuff. You know, like you're waiting bar nights anyways. People were waiting hours for cabs. You know, like
it's become pretty accepted now, like in terms of like Peterborough's over the initial shock with having us and our competitor in town. Like it's here, people are used to using it. We've got 14,000 users. I'm sure they have 2,000 or 3,000 users. Little dig there. But going back to Grand Prairie now and launching there over these last few weeks has kind of relit that deja vu feeling of the initial. Like, we're getting the phone calls in the morning from husbands being like, "My wife used you last night to get home from the bar. Really appreciate it. She's never felt safe heading home from a night out with her girlfriends." Like, it's giving that like deja vu, heartwarming feeling that we had 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's kind of a really cool feeling, and food trucks is actually one that's very lacking. When Susan came on, you were mentioning her before we started recording. One of the questions we asked each other, and then we said we were going to ask every podcast and didn't, was what's Peterborough missing? And food trucks really is one of them. It'd be a pretty cool.
Yeah, if I didn't get the space on Water Street, I was looking at renting on Food Truck Alley down on Taunton, and I would have just commuted to Taunton every morning and done it.
So
I was making donuts regardless of where it was. I just needed to figure out where it was going to be.
So not to throw anyone under the bus, and I'm sure they figured it out since then, but actually I was just in Rob from ECFC, Electric City Football Club's office a few weeks ago now, and he was showing me the kind of master layout plan because we've got the beer garden sponsored. Cool. And so he's showing me kind of where we'd be located and where our cars could drive up for the private Y-Drive pickup, all that kind of stuff. And
that's smart too. Private pickup? I like that. That's a clever one.
Yeah, I had no say in where the team was going, Fleming or Trent, but Fleming has this private driveway that goes right up to the beer garden. Man, my fingers were crossed. Like, actually, Matt came in and was like, "No, they're going to Trent. I guarantee they're going to Trent. I've heard it."
I didn't guarantee anything. I said, last I heard was maybe Trent. And then Rob was right, and he now claims his sources are better than mine, which is probably true. So
people tend not to tell reporters the truth.
Yeah, I know. It's awful.
He's a reporter.
Stop talking so much.
I'm off the clock at 1 p.m. Everything's off the record after 1.
Yeah,
right. I like that.
He showed me part of the parking lot, and again, like Rob's an amazing guy, but he's also from Calgary and new to Peterborough and getting to know the area. And he shows me his part, and he's like, "This is where all the food trucks will be." And I looked at him, I'm like, "Where are you getting the food trucks?" He's like, "What are you talking about?" I'm like, "There's no food trucks in Peterborough. They're banned."
Maybe a daily permit if you have a special event.
He won't have a problem getting them permitted because it's private property. It's owned by Fleming. But those trucks are going to have to travel from 100 kilometers away. Like, they're going to have to come from Durham in order to, like, even the ones that are here, like when you look at where Harley used to be up at 7 and Lansdowne, or you go to Ennismore, they're all permanent. Like, they're built in food trucks. They're not moving. So, I mean, these trucks are going to have to come from elsewhere.
I know it, like Alberta and stuff. I follow a couple of the food truck guys. There's one called like YYC or something like that. A few other ones. And those guys like do travel food truck festivals and stuff. And it's like, we're going to be in this spot this week and this spot that week. And there's like a really cool food community. And like, it sucks that we can't do that here. But that's all right. You know,
it was a big thing in Grand Prairie, actually, as well as I lived in Calgary for a bit. You would follow them on like Instagram, Facebook, whatever you were.
Here's where we're at and here's what we got.
Exactly.
I like that model. It's great.
Have you been to, obviously you probably have, you're from the area, but have you been down to Food Truck Alley on Taunton?
Yeah. Well, that's where I was going to rent my space.
Oh yeah. No, it's
$750 a month.
They
give you power and stuff. Yeah, it's not bad.
Oh.
I don't think they have plumbing, but like you figure it out, you know?
Yeah. No, it's a great little, have you been there, Matt?
Shockingly not.
Every time you put the mic down,
you should check it out. It's pretty great.
Yeah, I know. No, I haven't. Like,
So
in Oshawa.
They've got
before it, like Bowmanville area.
Okay, no,
there's a place called Taco the Town or Talk of the Town or something like that.
Yeah.
And those guys made some wild looking food, and I think they were so busy that they've opened a brick and mortar now.
I can't remember the names of all of them, but I've had about it's a great ride. If you ride a motorcycle, it's a great ride down the back way and straight up onto Taunton, stop at the food truck, and then ride back home. It's about an hour and 10 minutes each way.
I always hit Nofty's too, because Nofty's is like the OG chip truck, like 2K down the road from the food place. And they haven't moved, and they're never going to move, and they're built in place, and like it's just like that's the food, that's the OG food truck, that's the one you go to. But that food truck alley, they set that up right.
Yeah, it's just like a little complex.
There's got to be 14 of them, maybe 10 of them each. Like there's 2 rows of trucks, and there's people lined up on the weekend, like bikes everywhere. It's a really cool setup.
So you can go and hit 3 or 4 different food trucks for your family. It's kind of like back in the day Rib Fest, where you'd get like 4 or 5 different options and then meet back at the picnic table. Yeah.
Well, that's my favorite thing about going to like a Jays game is hitting food trucks on the way. Like in downtown Toronto, they're everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. And people don't trust the downtown food trucks, but like they make some of the best food though in the city. It's like this hot dog guy's got some wild food.
we started doing that. I say started. We've only done it a few times because of COVID, but we started doing that for date nights. My wife and I. We would just go rent an Airbnb or a hotel room for the night, and we would show up at like 4:00 in the afternoon and put your phone in your pocket. Like I'm not gonna lie, we still use it for like Facebook
See
and
what
talking,
you can find.
But no Google Maps, no Googling of places, just go. And sometimes you end up walking by like the Ritz-Carlton, you're like, all right, I'm going to go in for a $30 martini. And other times you end up at like a hole in the wall that you have no idea what they're going to serve. And you almost all places are not going to survive in downtown Toronto with bad food.
No.
Like
that's what I did that same thing with, when I was working, I did that same thing with like diners and donut shops and because I was province wide for work, so it was like, where's a good diner here? Because they were always open at like 6 a.m. or whatever.
Well, there's the food review guys too on TikTok and all that now that are like actually I don't follow him for that, but Portney from Barstool, and he does his pizza review.
I like his pizza.
He's in Toronto right now.
Yeah.
So he's doing he said he has 9, I think, pizza places in Toronto.
15.
15.
This week,
lined up to hit. And I'm screenshotting each one of these because
you'll hit Makers for sure. Makers downtown Toronto is the best pizza.
I've given it a 6.1.
Well, that's not that good. That's not that good.
Makers isn't his style of pizza.
Right.
I know we did north of Brooklyn. That got like an 8.2.
Yeah, I was like saying someone got an 8.2.
I was going to say anything 8 and up is like good for him, right? Like that's a good score.
That's a really good line for him. But he likes like the flimsier kind of pizza.
Yeah.
So like Makers, I love Makers so much.
I could have sworn
that's a Matheson thing or no? Because I know Matty Matheson has his hand in a couple restaurants, but he's got a burger joint going right now that's like killing it.
Yeah,
those
I'm not
guys,
sure.
They sell out before they open. Like
I had Makers like, a few months ago, and it was really good.
Yeah.
It was a really heavy pizza.
Yeah, I remember him. Maybe he just posted about it or something. That's how we found out about it. But
the one I watched where he was talking about was north of Brooklyn.
Yeah, I got a high rating.
North of Brooklyn got an 8.5, I think it was 8.5 or 8.6, 8.2,
8.2, yeah, which is a good rating from Portnoy.
He said, I think his wording on it was something like this could legitimately go up against any other pizza and have a chance at winning.
Yeah.
And that's but it makes it like we're an hour away. It makes it worth hopping in the car and going and trying it. Same way, and I mean we'll double back because you're here to talk about donuts. Sure, but I love that you're just a food guy in general. You're just like food. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But the same way that you've got people coming from outside of Peterborough for donuts. It's nuts.
Like the first week. I mean, I had some friends show up at like Kitchener and London, like other side of Toronto and stuff. Guelph. They're here for donuts. It's like all right.
Sometimes you just need a reason to drive.
People drive in and like, oh, you're not open. It's like, no, check my hours. What do you drove in from where? Like people just blindly go for it, like
we're here from New Brunswick. It's 4:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday.
Sending the line home halfway through the day when we sell out. So it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't ask anybody to line up, and like we're doing our best, but we don't have that many donuts.
Holiday Inn has rooms. We'll see you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, I'll be here tomorrow 7:00.
Yeah. So. Now you talked a lot about the lines and having to send people home and all that.
Oh, yeah.
But I did read that one of your goals, which is a really interesting aspect, especially in the downtown Peterborough area, is to get people in. Like that was your reason for not being a garage kitchen or a food truck anymore, was to have a place where people could congregate, have a coffee.
I want my old guy.
Yeah.
I want my old guy. Like I want my old guys. I want like that table of like 3 guys that shoot the shit at 6 a.m.
Spend $1.60 on coffee. They're there for 4 hours.
Every day.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
That's the
Gotta
guys.
go put some
If
pamphlets down at
I
Tim
had an old
Hortons.
guy come in on like week 1 and he said, he's like, I just want a coffee. I don't want a donut, but you don't have anywhere to sit. But when you do, I'll be back for coffee. And I was like, you're the guy. What's your name? You know, like, you're my first guy.
He's so confused. He's like, why is
He's
this guy
like, what are you
following me
talking
around?
about? Yeah, yeah.
It's like Jay's Coffee downstairs here at the mall. Like, there's like a table of old guys.
Yeah, but that guy's got like hardcore followers.
Yep.
Like, those people have been going there for.
Yep.
He's been there since I was a kid.
Well, it's every Thursday. There's a table of like 15 of them. Like it's amazing. And
My
those are, like,
grandmother used to go down because she was at the retirement home there and it's connected, so they can just like scooter over and like have her tea and watch people. That's what she would do. So.
I'm just admiring the fact that he has to keep telling you to move the mic forward, and I'm like wanting to pull it out of Matt's mouth. Like it's like.
Well, this mic's not as nice.
Well, he's better.
Different type of mic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different type.
Matt is actually the voice of somebody from Alberta's voicemail now. That's how good he is at talking. We had one of our business partners from Y Drive here, and he heard his voice and was like, "Can you record my voicemail?" And just held his phone
Like
in
his
front of him.
personal voicemail, not a business voicemail.
I'll tell you,
I
it
like
throws me off when I call him now because I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah."
My
right."
voice.
But saying his name,
You should just get him to do all of them.
I got to start charging for this. I don't know what I'm doing it for
Like
free.
you're the wide drive voicemail guy now.
I am. I'm a wide drive voicemail guy.
call 304-4800 and you'll hear Matt Latour's voice.
I'm going to do it.
It was my voice, but that was short-lived.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was your voice for about 20 minutes.
20 minutes.
Well,
yeah.
and then so we had all these recordings done for like, now that we have Y Drive Eats, Y Drive Alberta, Y Drive Ontario, there's all these different connections you have to do for like press 1 for this, press 2 for that.
Yeah.
And so we had him record what we thought we needed. And then there was a couple when Chance went and set up the phone system that were missing. Like he had changed a couple directions. So then he went and re-recorded it and he's like, how does this sound? And I listened to it and I'm like, call Matt, he'll come up and re-record it.
And he calls me and he's like, hey, call me ASAP. So I think it's an emergency. He's like, no, Chance just needs more voicemail
I need
stuff.
you to read this. Yeah.
And then he's like, how fast can you get it? I said, I got a microphone at home. And then I sent it to Chance in 10 minutes. And
I think that's what it was. I think I sent you a message that said, how fast can you get to the office?
yeah, you
And
wanted me to
were
come
like-
here and do it.
And he was like, he's like, what's wrong? Like panicking. And then I was like, he needs you to record some voicemail stuff.
I was like, I got a mic at home. We can do that.
Yeah.
And it worked.
But you know what? That's the fun of it. I hope that when people call Y Drive, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm waiting for the one person that's like, by the way, was that Matt Latour's voice a second ago? Like,
And then they delete it and download the other app.
yeah.
Listen,
Those out of town guys don't mess around.
Yeah.
So you've only been open for 2 weeks.
This is my third week. Yeah.
Third week. All right. I hate to ask this question because right now your mind, I'm sure, is in survival mode in the sense of like make as many donuts as I can, get them to people, and go home and rest as much as I can as well. But
Yeah, the turnaround's been crazy.
as a business owner, I know our minds always race in the background. Like, does this tell you that you're either going to have a super successful single location, or is it now like, I wonder where else I can have donuts being sold at?
So I had, I'm not going to say who, but I had somebody come in last week.
Yep.
And they introduced themselves as someone from the downtown business support, whatever the hell it was called. And, I'm the chair and I sit on the board of this. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care who you are. So like, you can give me your card and give me your credentials and stuff, but like, I'm just making donuts. I don't care.
Yep.
And he came in and he's like, I see that you're selling out and, have you considered making Tiny Tom donuts? And
What's a tiny donut?
the one you put it in a hopper, it's like a pancake batter and you go blip, 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 and it makes little tiny donuts like at the fair.
Okay.
Like those ones. He goes, you can crank those out a lot faster. And I just like looked at him. I'm like, then they wouldn't be my fucking donuts. Like, what do you, did you just come into my business and tell me how to do my fucking business?
Yep.
And he's like, I didn't mean any offense. I was like, you started out real good, didn't you? So that
Have you
kind of
thought
thing.
about painting Y Drive cars yellow and putting little signs on top?
Like he was like, well, you're never going to scale up if you don't figure this problem out. I said, I don't have any problems right now.
Yeah.
I'm good. My idea is working. People are showing up for my donuts. And when I don't have any left, they show up the next day. Like we're good.
Yep.
And I don't want to expand. It's funny because my mom's helping me, right? Like mom and dad are helping me in the kitchen right now because it's like we're still in the middle of hiring staff. And so mom's been she was a baker for her career, so she's dives in. She's enjoying it. So
I was gonna ask that. Like, you went from what you were doing before to.
I've always had food as like my safety net. So.
Well, like, you didn't just wake up and be like, I need to learn how to make a donut.
No. I grew up in a house with 2 grandmothers around all the time. My mom cooked and baked, and like we just like Christmas cookies and all this. Like, I was in food cooking classes growing up, and I think I'm that generation where like the men before me didn't cook. And then like that next generation is like, well, screw that. We're raising these boys to cook. So like that was, and we were like kind of latchkey back in the day, right? In the 90s. So you came home and you started dinner a lot of the time, where it's like, you'd get the note that says, put it in the oven for this. You see at 5, right? Like, call me when the door's locked kind of thing. But
mine was different, not to cut you off there. Mine was, please take the chicken out of the freezer when you get home. But then I learned that if I forgot, then we had to order pizza because there was no chicken thawed out.
Yeah. So, and like just grandma's around and stuff. I love food. And I mean, we're on the road all the time. We're always eating out, or I was. And so you can learn what's good and what you like. And
so what was the decision for donuts? Like, there had to be a moment where
it's the happiest thing that I have found that I enjoy doing.
You know, that's funny because we've obviously talked about good. Lisa from Couture Candy.
You go eat a donut and be sad about it.
Yep.
You can't, unless it sucks. Yep. But like, you know.
Yeah.
And I had a couple sucky donuts.
McDonald's donuts.
My very first donut that I made was because I had a shitty donut that cost me like $6 in Toronto.
Yep.
And I was coming home, and it was Valentine's Day, and I was like, bought my kids donuts from this place. I lined up, and I got home, and they were shit. And I was so mad. So I got in my truck, and I drove to Walmart, and I bought a little shitty deep fryer and like the ingredients. And I was like, I'm figuring donuts out. And they sucked.
Yep.
And they sucked for weeks, but then they got better and better and better and better, and now I'm making donuts.
I'm excited to try them.
I'm told they're good. I can't eat them.
Oh,
I'm gluten intolerant.
You're
I found out 2 weeks after I started making donuts, so I have never actually eaten my donuts.
Wow.
Yeah.
You like just
that's the biggest plot twist I've ever heard.
Like, you kept that one in the back pocket the entire time.
Yeah, I had the PTBO guy show up and do a little interview the other day, and he's like, "Can you take a big bite out of this?" I was like, "Nah." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, I'm gluten intolerant. I can't touch that."
Oh my goodness.
I can make them. I just can't eat them.
Interesting. Like, you can't even like I'm not.
I make a gluten-friendly cruller that I can have. Cool. So there's no flour in it. But
can you taste it and then spit it out? Like, does that still make you?
Nah, I'll be like stirring mix and grab a spoon and here, try this. Here, try that. Tell me what it is.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's why it was so useful to get the feedback from the weekly orders. It's like, was that batch good? No. Or yes, or this could be changed, or that could be added. It's like, thank you. And then I take that feedback and change it.
I'm not trying to throw shade at anyone else that does it in town, although I can't think of...
I've got all sorts of donut shade to throw. I just won't.
Yeah.
Because people have been stepping on my toes, and I'm not happy about it.
There's holes in donuts, too, so I don't know how much shade. It's
filled down. Yeah.
And I imagine yours are still soft and fresh, so they're not even gonna hurt when you hit them. If you were like, if you were Tim Hortons, then it might hurt if you're throwing donuts.
That's the other thing. Like Tim Hortons back in the day, those guys were cranking out donuts and smoking cigarettes at 5 a.m. and stuff, and like getting paid decent. And then Tim Hortons took that away, and then they wonder why their business isn't as amazing as it used to be. It's because you took all the important things away from your business. It's
marketing versus quality. Like I'll double back to
Which is why I'll never do Beyond Me. Like back to that original questions. I won't. I told my mom wants me to write down my recipes, right? Because if I'm not around, then someone needs to do it. I told her I won't. I said if I don't show up to make dough doesn't get made, period.
My question was going to be, and I'm glad you dropped that bomb about you can't even eat your own donuts, because then that obviously is going to rephrase how I asked this question. And I wasn't going to go back to the McDonald's comment that I made earlier, but it fits in with that. They made a donut that looks really good in an advertisement. Like their photos on the menu board
cute, little tiny thing, right?
And you never go there for it, but like you're in the drive-through grabbing dinner on the way home, and you're like, yeah, I'll take a 6-pack. I still do it. I've had them multiple times.
You enjoy them?
No,
right?
Not at all. Like they're horrible.
That was like my 15 years of coffee and an old-fashioned plain from Timmy's, right? Like that was my go-to.
But the picture is so good that you're like, I'll try it again.
Yeah, I'll try that again.
Yeah, like the picture's that like it must be better now.
Oh, what? It's cinnamon now. I'll try one of those.
Still horrible.
And new and improved. Yeah.
Now if they threw those donuts, that would hurt. Those are
for me. It's like
they're
it's
heavy.
The lack of people doing their job. I think is what it boils down to. Like, you don't want to be there overnight. Okay, don't make donuts. Like, they can't be made yesterday for today. They can't. And if you figure it out, your donuts are going to suck. And like, I've tried it. I tried to do the fridge proof. I tried doing the cronut style. I tried doing like a bunch, because like it would be nice to throw it in the fridge for 2 days and walk away and then cut them, but they come out shit.
Yep.
So it's overnight or nothing. And
quality over quantity.
yeah, and like donuts are important. Like, they were for me anyways, for my age, you guys are about the same, I think. Like, in the early 90s, donuts were at funerals and beaver group meetings and AA meeting. Like, if you met with more than 2 people in a room, there was a box of donuts and coffee.
Or the office donuts.
It's
hint,
the most
hint, nudge, nudge. The office donuts.
People are already
the
doing
lowest on the totem pole brings in a box of donuts in the morning.
What time do you open? What time?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
You may have some campers outside
Come on
before.
out.
You'll have a camper outside.
Yeah,
The rest of us are going to sleep in and expect donuts when we get to work.
Yeah, like we put out 70%, so we'll have 70% of our donuts on the floor. So we probably get some if you're there early.
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
So I got to start coming to this office earlier because I'm coming around lunch these days. I'm going to get here at like 8.
I swear the HVAC in this building, so where he works during the day is in the bottom floor and we're on the 3rd floor. I swear our HVACs are connected because lunch shows up and this guy's ringing the door. He doesn't even ring the doorbell now. He has a code to get in. But
I have a fingerprint.
Yeah, he's
get in here.
Lunch.
He somehow knows when lunch shows up.
It's like a spidey sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm not picking on it. I respect it.
So, what was your the first like donut you made en masse?
Ooh, the game
Like
changer.
at the shop or just like
In your garage, basically.
In my garage, I just started with basics. So like, I always have said that if you can't make a honey dip, you have no right making donuts. So I started with that.
Okay.
I got my glaze dialed in and like thicknesses and shit. And then it was like, all right, let's figure out like a Boston. And I just started plugging away at my favorites and went from there. And then I got my lineup, and like, we're nothing fancy. You're not going to find anything extravagant about our donuts. We just want to do as basic and local as we can, as well as we can. So,
Okay.
But
like-
you said Boston. Like that's
yeah, today we
That's
did
where it's
like
at.
a lemon curd that I made this morning, and I make the pastry cream in the morning, and like we make our own ganache for all our chocolate dips. Like, there's nothing bought anywhere. Like, it's all raw ingredients turned into donuts. There's no sauces that you buy in a jug,
Right.
because I can't control my peanut free that way, because there's, this will have 1,000 ingredients in it.
Yeah.
I need flour, I need eggs, I need milk, I need chocolate. I don't need chocolate with 1,000 things in it.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it's
I can't get Hershey's chocolate because a lot of just even raw Hershey's has peanut potential, and so like we have to look around for different stuff. But like, people need to raw ingredient cook like they used to.
Yep.
Like, where'd the bakers go? Do you remember East City Bakery? Right, like over in East City, he was like off the beaten path, and it's a flour shop now called, I think, East City Flour Shop
okay.
I don't know.
near Armour Hill.
No, I might have been before my
Like
time.
10 years ago, that guy was trying to sell that place, and nobody wanted to work overnight. And so it just got shut down and lost forever. And that was like the bakery we went to for 20 years. And then it was like the only reason it closed is because he got too old and no one wanted to do it.
Well, and that's kind of been one of my goals with Why Drive Eats, is to be able to, like, obviously we're focusing on local restaurants, the local product, not just food, but just product in general, is the ability. I feel like 10, 15 years ago, 20 years ago even, I remember I'd get up as a kid, I guess now 30 years ago, 28 years ago, and you woke up and I just keep getting older and older. Think about it.
Yeah.
40, 50, how old am I? You'd wake up in the morning and your Saturday was planned out by where your parents were taking you. And it was little things. Like, if you look back, nowadays a Saturday is like extravagant stuff, either really important or takes a lot of time, or you have to go really far. Back then it was like, go to the dump and throw the garbage bags in the pit. And then it was like, stop at the hardware store because your dad had a $20 allowance for the hardware store every week. Like, it was like little tiny stops. And then nowadays people don't find their way into, like, Electric City Red Company, amazing people, amazing product. And the thought of dedicating an hour of your Saturday to getting in the car, driving into town to go and buy English muffins just doesn't resonate with people anymore. And I'm hoping that Why Drive Eats can kind of bring that back a little bit, because maybe you can't find that hour to dedicate to driving in and getting some English muffins.
You still want delicious baked goods for your Saturday morning.
Yeah, like we can almost be the Amazon of local products. Like, I want those English muffins, not the ones from Walmart. But I don't have the time to go and get it. So being able to go on and order it and have it delivered, yeah, it's still not getting out and going into town, but it's
better than not
halfway
supporting
there.
that business too, though, right?
Exactly.
Like, I'd much rather see someone pay to have English muffins from a local place than go to Walmart and get them.
Exactly.
And your quality is going to be so much better too. So,
No, 100%. So you kind of hinted at it with the different types that exist. So we were honest in the fact that we haven't had a chance to make it in, mostly because you're sold out before any of us wake up.
That's crazy. Yeah.
But what is the selection like? Like what is it?
So we do like the boxes, like you can order, we do like a classic and a mixed and a filled box right now. So filled would be anything without a hole, is how we justify it. So your fritters, your Bostons, I do a lemon curd, I do jelly filleds, depending on what fruit I end up using that day. We're going to change it with seasonal stuff as it comes in. So like strawberry season, peach season, we'll mix it up a bit.
That's pretty cool.
But usually it's like it used to be raspberry filled donuts is my favorite one. But raspberries are brutal to get right now. I don't know what happened. Raspberries are extinct this week, so
I got to imagine the flavor. Obviously, you're going to say it is, and I'm sure it is because you have lineups at the door. But the filling alone in a jelly-filled donut, if it's fresh made ingredients, is going to be night and day to the stuff we're used to being able to
my
get.
mom keeps yelling at me because we call it like lemon filled.
Yeah.
Right. And she was like, "You need to call that a lemon curd donut." And I was like, "I don't like the name lemon curd donut." But she's like, "They're gonna think it's that boxed shit that you get for like a lemon meringue pie, and it's not." And I'm like, "No, it's not. It's like fresh lemon curd every day."
Yeah.
So I said, "I'll tell people if they ask. Like, it's a lemon curd I made. Like that fixes that problem." But maybe we have to change the name or something.
If you try one and you like it, you're gonna.
Eventually, people are gonna get like, "Oh, this guy's showing up and making everything from scratch and doing it every day." Like, and it takes me 16 hours every day while we're running donuts to do it. So. If someone wants to compete with that, I welcome it. But like, it sucks. Like, step up and start cooking. You know.
Well, and I think it's no different.
We needed it here.
Yeah, it's no different than Lisa with Couture Candy.
She's my favorite candy shop.
Oh, she's my favorite person.
Those wrap snacks are the best thing that have ever happened to me.
Yep.
Also, like my favorite storefront. Just the bright pink stands out so much.
Yeah.
She's actually my very first business collab.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're doing the Candy Couture donut for May.
We posted an Instagram
So
photo.
she messaged me. She's like, "I got 25 pounds of nerds for you." I was like, "Perfect, let's go."
I posted an Instagram photo at the start of this episode, and she commented within a minute. Like it was crazy.
She's such a lovely lady. And then when I ran a Kickstarter to try to raise some money for us to open, and I did a naming rights for some donuts, and she bought one of them. So she's my first one to go. And
That's awesome.
Then we'll do I'm going to do a Plant Goals crossover. They're my neighbor and friends of ours. Whoever wants to be.
What's Plant Goals? Sorry.
Plant store right on Water Street. Yeah.
Right across the street.
Yeah, right across the street.
So seeds, equipment, plants themselves.
Yeah, they sell dirt and pots and plants and all your. So, and because of
Sounds like a good
COVID
donut.
and everyone was home, there's people are buying houseplants like crazy. So like they're busy and they're wonderful people. So it's like. What I want to dive into the community as much as I want to make donuts.
Yep.
Like this is my city and it's been hurting. And if we don't do positive things in our city, positive shit doesn't happen.
I like the fact, and I realized that I was mistaken at the beginning, but now that I think about it more and more, I like the fact you're on water. And the reason I like that is you've got yourself on water. You've got the new bar opening where Le Petit was.
Same owners too, I think.
Yeah, for sure it is. And you've got some stuff opening back up on Water Street that's going to expand that downtown walking kind of shopping area, because Water Street did kind of, in comparison to George, kind of start to die off a little bit.
Back in the day, it was like the bookstore street, right? Like you had like 9 bookstores on that block, and then like a bakery, right? And now it's kind of revamped and all sorts of cool stuff's coming in. And like the art scene's really good down there. So I'm going to dive into First Friday, and we're going to do First Fridays. So we'll host an artist every week or every month for the First Friday.
Yep.
I'm going to host a chef. Okay. So then because like those people are drinking while they're walking around. No one's really doing the food thing. So I was like, well, chefs are artists too. Let them show the case their stuff. I'm not a chef.
Yep.
But I know a bunch. So like, come on in and like, let's make donut Philly cheesesteaks tonight or something, you know, like, and we'll just sling food and do art and be community driven, and we're trying to be as open and honest and accepting and high five everybody in the city and you know Love the city as hard as I can with donuts. This is kind of what I'm doing.
So what else is Tragically Dipped going to become? Because in that title alone, where you said you want people to come in, I'm assuming the goal has to be slightly beyond just donuts. Like you're going to have your coffee.
Oh yeah.
Like,
so I've got a coffee line already.
Okay.
Local roaster. His name's Daniel. He's at Rapids End. They're kind of Rye Street near the Cash and Carry. He started roasting 2 or 3 years ago.
Sorry, we do our 45-minute mark, and we're trying to actually not be subtle about it anymore.
Yeah. We can just announce it. Now you know.
Yeah,
45 minutes.
45 minutes. No, Daniel's great, and I always bought his coffee, and then I said like, "Here's my donuts," and he's like, "Your donuts are the best." And I was like, "Well, your coffee's the best. Will you make?"
Did we just become best friends?
Right. And it's such a weird match.
Copyright.
He's like he was in like a Christian rock band.
Oh, cool.
And so like I'm not a religious dude, so the fact that he would talk to me was kind of neat. And I was like, all right, this guy's actually giving me a shot here. And so I said, like, will you make me Tragically Dipped, which is my coffee?
That's pretty cool.
And he's like, yeah, we could figure that out. So he's like, what do you want to do? I was like, well, this is my favorite, and this is my second favorite. Just mash those together and let me know.
Really? And that actually worked out?
And well, no.
Oh.
No. So he brought me a bag of it. And he goes, what do you think of that? And I was like, that was different. And he goes, yeah, that was different, eh? And so then we did another mix and another mix and another mix. And then about 7 or 8 weeks later, we settled on the ratio that we got. Cool. And we love it. Mm-hmm. And so we sell that as drip and cold brew and all our specialty coffees. And then my espresso line is his North Boy espresso. Mm-hmm. I know that Silver Bean uses a Tana bean. He makes that.
Okay.
There's a couple roasters in town, but I'd put Daniel up against any roaster in Ontario. He's the absolute best.
So just to talk him up a little bit, because obviously
he's the absolute best. I love him so much.
Well, obviously going out for coffee to a place like yours or any other coffee shop, getting a donut, stuff like that while you're there is great. But for the homebrew stuff, like for the waking up in the morning, is his stuff something that people can go and purchase somewhere?
Yeah. He's got a shop. Like I said, it's in the same plaza as like the plumbing supply on, is it Rye Street? It's got behind like Value Village there.
Oh, okay.
If you go like down and there's like a rapid lift repair place. Yeah. It's right near the brewery.
Yep.
Just like the plaza next door to the brewery.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there's like a drum maker in there and him but he's got a great little shop. And he's got a huge like beautiful looking roaster just kind of like in the middle of the shop, and it's this focal point of everything. Yep. And this guy tracks like humidity and temperature and pressures for his roast because they change daily. So he dials his like roasting times and stuff for his environment. Like he geeks out on coffee like I do donuts. So
see, and I respect coffee because I see how passionate people are. I have never had a coffee in my life. I have an energy drink or two every day, but so I've never had a coffee in my life.
Severely mentally ill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like I totally understand at this point because I know how addictive.
You got to get on the coffee train, man. Yeah. This stuff's going to get you faster than coffee will.
So, but that's the thing. Like I know I have that. It's not an addictive personality. It's an obsessive personality that if I get into something, I get really into it. And so like I know if I enjoyed a coffee, I'm not going to be a 1 coffee a day person. I'm going to be a 15 coffee a day person. And
that's why I don't drink.
Yeah.
I know. I did that for a while, and it was like that's the exact same thing.
Alcohol's a good example. Like I can go 2 weeks without drinking. I'm not an addict or dependent on it. But if I am like, you know what, I'm going to go out and have a martini tonight.
You're going out.
I'm going to have 16 martinis. Yeah. And
that's my issue. When it's on, it's on, and it goes until we go to bed kind of thing, and it doesn't. There's no counts, and it's like no, it's just we're drinking.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and that was when I quit my job. That was one of the things I had to kick first. Is like probably not the best thing to be doing with the mental health stuff. So
exactly, yeah. No, I think we all when.
So I just found my Canna community and switched over, and everybody's happy. So
we launched our first cannabis retailer day before on Y Drive Eats. Yep.
Can you say who it is? Or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's Fallen Giants.
Okay.
Yeah. Over on Simcoe Street, locally owned. Absolutely great place, great staff. And we worked with our rep from the AGCO to kind of come up with how do we get the product into people's homes without breaking any rules. And we came up with a solution that I'm not going to go into full detail and give away the secret sauce, but we can 100% legally get cannabis to your doorstep, ordering it through Y Drive Eats. Right. And well,
that's great.
I find there's 2 markets for it, right? There's the people that enjoy the product.
Yep.
But at home, like it's not like you're out there walking the streets with a
People are
$3,000 one.
Of that like old school mindset, right? Like it's still like, like I don't want to be in public with it.
I don't hide the fact that like I have an edible when I go to bed most nights, and that's what puts me to sleep, gets me a good 8 hours, wake up in the morning and go. But yet my truck says Y Drive all over it. I don't want to go and park outside a dispensary and then have somebody be like, oh, that Y Drive company driving around high. No, I'm having an edible before I go to sleep. But there's still that look to it. And
I use it as medication. So like, and I know you're not supposed to do that, but it's the only thing that gets me to work, right? Like it's I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything if I don't have it. It sucks.
Yep.
It doesn't suck. It's a wonderful thing because it would be beers or something else if I didn't. So it just keeps me level-headed enough to function, I think. So
if it works, it works. And I think
it's
everybody
nice that it's legal now and not make you feel like a big criminal about it. So
I think it's different for everybody. It's not just cannabis. And I'm not comparing it to like heroin and stuff like that. I mean, like whether it's drinking, it's cannabis, it's the one that actually stuck in my head in terms of maybe it works for some people and doesn't work for others. I definitely can't have an edible or smoke weed and function. To me, it puts me in like a vegetative, watch TV, forget what I just watched, fall asleep.
Yeah, I've been doing like sleep. Go home, use it to get to bed at now, and then wake up at 11, go to work kind of thing. So.
But I was actually just listening to a Lil Wayne song. And it just happened. I put a mix on of Lil Wayne, and there was a reference in it. And I can't remember the wording, but I remember hearing the lyrics and being like, "Oh yeah!" Like, and it was where he was talking about when he was drinking cough syrup with codeine mixed in with his drink, and it was that purple whatever. And everybody was like, "Oh, that stuff's horrible. It just makes you go into a vegetative state, and nobody gets anything done." And you're teaching kid, and he's like.
I did all
you guys not remember how awesome I was when I was drinking that, and then now I couldn't care less and don't put anything out. And he's like,
for his art.
But it was his way of saying, like, I get it that I'm the minority here in terms of like not everybody reacts the same way I do, but I was more productive. I was working 16-hour days. I was putting out hit material.
If you told me like it made you anxious, like cannabis, or like you couch lock or all that stuff, don't smoke it.
Yep.
But if you're going to be more productive, if you're going to be less anxious, if you're going to not have racing thoughts all the time, go for it. Like whatever helps you be a more decent person, go for it. Drinking will never do that for you, but everything else will.
It's so different for everybody, actually, and hopefully he can hear us. He's outside. I know he's outside the room right now because his keys are on the table here, so he hasn't gone anywhere. But Scott, who was on a previous podcast, my little brother, and. He works a job where he works all summer. He paves roads and does road work. And then in the winter, he has nothing to do. And he was a habitual weed smoker for years. Like couch lock, play video games. Like he was that guy that you could build a TV show around where he'd sit in the couch for 12 hours and his friends would come and visit him. And then he quit smoking weed and he went from like 120 pounds to 190 overnight. He put on so much weight after he stopped smoking weed. And I was like,
the habit with a different habit.
No, he just was getting off the couch, which meant he could get to the fridge. But my mind was blown. I was like, to everybody else, it's the complete opposite. If you smoke a lot of weed, you end up at the fridge grabbing midnight snacks, you put on weight. And to him, it was the complete opposite. He put on all this weight and he's like, I guess I got to go join a gym.
Yeah.
Now I don't know if I should smoke more or less. I don't know.
You're just gonna have to figure that one out on your own.
Trial and error. Trial and error is everybody's solution. But you're actually being very quiet with this. But that's your entire background. I've learned more about the cannabis industry from Chance, just in depth, like the knowledge he's gained over the years that he was in the industry. Everybody is different, and there are people who need it to function properly, and there are people that it completely messes up, and everywhere in between.
I mean, if you took my wife and you put more than 5 milligrams in her, she's done. Yeah. And it's like, oh, well, you know, it's very different for me. So.
No, my wife's the exact same way. She's going to hate me saying this on a podcast that 9 people listen to. But she sees the real statistics, so she actually knows how many people are hearing it. But she's the same way. She used to be the person that, like, I remember when our kid was born, she wouldn't smoke weed. And in any way, vape pen.
Oh yeah, straight edge stuff. Yeah,
because she's like, if something happens, I need to be able to handle the situation. And I was like, understandable, because she'd couch lock, she'd be completely done for the night.
Yeah, it's like you drinking like a case of beer, being like, it's good, I got it figured out. You know, like it's.
But nowadays, she'll go home at 3:00 to get Liam off the school bus, and then I'll go home at 6:00, and she'll be finishing making dinner, and she'll be putting it on the table, and hey, how was the rest of your day? And tomorrow we should do this, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, okay, no problem. I'll be like, oh, do you want to after dinner run to Dairy Queen and grab dessert? And she'll be like, I can't. I smoked weed 2 hours ago, and it was like, what? Like, but you're cleaning the house, you're cooking dinner,
exactly right, yeah. Like. You're cleaning the house and you're cooking dinner because you get a little break and focus.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a nice space you can get into with habitual use where it's very helpful. Very helpful.
I find it makes me more productive, but absolutely, like I said, I've got like mental shit and ADHD. I got all sorts of fun stuff going on. So like,
it's a killer for ADHD in a good way. Like it's awesome.
It makes that ADHD not scream at your head.
That's exactly what I always told people. It makes the noise in your head go down.
It takes me from here to here, and it just gives me that like extra 10 seconds of fuse. It's lovely, because if you met me months ago when I was drinking, I quick to angry all the time. Mm-hmm. Like it just sucked. Mm-hmm. But that's how I was coping with work. It was like, go home, get fucking drunk, get back to work.
But a lot of the time you hit the nail on the head. I as well. And I think, again, most business owners have a lot of underlying ADHD. I think that's, again, what keeps us from... Because be honest, as much as you look back and you don't regret the decisions that you made to get into business and open a donut store, and I don't regret Y-Drive or our manufacturing company we had or Y-Drive Eats or anything that we do, there is still a moment of insanity. Like a moment of impulsiveness where you make that decision. If you were a logically thinking, write things out in a pros and cons list person, you're not going to pull the trigger on starting your own business.
It's insane.
Yeah, I'm going to give up all. I'm a middle age.
Lose everything.
All security. Risk it all. Yeah. And if you start writing out that negatives list, like the day you're going to have to go tell your kid you failed and you're moving out of the house.
I'm going to lose my house. I'm going to,
If you think about that, you're screwed. And
you can't listen to that.
No, but it takes that person.
And it's that's interesting, because I dealt with that like voice in my head. I don't have voices in my head, but like that would require would require actual medication if I was here and talking. But no, like it was like, what are you doing all the time in the back of your mind? And then when things didn't go as well, it's like, you're really going to screw this up, and it's not going to work, and people aren't going to show up, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, shut up. Like, I can't listen to that.
Boom.
You got it. And it's every day you're fighting that. And it's like, ugh, because it's so unknown. You don't know how you're going to do it. You come up with your budget, and then it's got to double overnight, but you don't have a chance to double shit. I'm begging for money the whole time as we went, and it's like, who's going to lend me money? Oh, these guys, great, I'll take it. What do you need me to jump? I'll jump through your hoops. What do you got? And I took every penny. I'm in crippling debt now.
But you're probably smiling more than you were 2 years ago.
It's the only way it was going to... I'm not even thinking about it. I just got to make donuts. And it's not going to pay for itself if I don't make donuts. And I want to be in the community long term. I don't want to be here for 6 months. So, like, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to take no money. And, like, people have been amazing. And people just want someone cooking donuts, you know? Like, good, basic donut. And, like, I've got weddings and car shows and birthdays and baby shower. Like, people are already booking stuff. So it's like, oh, that's on top of all of the stuff at the shop. So it's like, now we can do community. I'm doing the MG car show. And it's like, I don't know anything about MGs. Do you? They're cute little cars.
I actually...
They're British.
Yeah.
And they
actually do, but that's a side topic.
I guess there's like hundreds of them in Toronto, and they all come down to Nichols Oval, and they're like, do you do donuts and coffee? I was like, for hundreds of people? I do now? I mean, shit. We'll figure it out. You know,
100%. It's and you know, I think people enjoy hearing that. Like, for you to not put on, you could put on a golf shirt in the morning and comb your hair and shave and talk proper and hide who you are as a person. But at the end of the day, the reason that people, and I'll name some, and I'm not trying to forget anyone here, but people love Sam's because of Sam. People love Hanoi House because of Susan. Yeah. People love where they love, not just for the food, but for the people that are behind it.
Oh, I'm a big character fan.
Yep.
So like when I find those character personalities, like Sam's one of my favorite people.
Yep.
And she's got a personality to her.
Yep.
And back in the day, you'd be like, man, she's gruff. But it's like, no. She's just very good at what she does and very particular about her product, which is exactly why she does as well as she does.
Summed it up so perfect. So I don't think this has ever been said in a podcast before, but it's been talked about a lot.
It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite personalities in town. I love her for it.
So Sam's Deli is one of our best performing stores we've ever had on Eats in a very short period of time. Like the moment we opened
it's
her store.
It's one of the best delis in Ontario, hands down.
For sure. But the moment we opened, there were people sitting there waiting to hit submit on their order until we activated the store for the first time. We had 2 orders within seconds of the store opening. Like they kept trying. But long story short, I've gotten to know Sam by going into the store many times over the years. And she does have her gruffness and her, this is my store, my product, oh, for sure. And it's what keeps the quality there. And so we started off on Wide Drive Eats not having a clue what we were doing. And I said to Joel, I'm like, he's like, oh, I want to get Sam's Deli on there. I'm like, absolutely later. Like, don't. Make sure you've got your ducks in a row. Make sure we know what we're doing before you bring that personality into the mix, because she's going to hold you accountable if you screw up.
Because it's my product at the end of the day. And if you can't get it here with it arriving in a decent form, I'm going to look bad, and I don't want that.
Was it you that called her?
Yeah, you guys sent me in blind.
Yeah, so we told them.
It's the best way to do it.
So this was like 3 weeks in, and we were we were going into the final week of our 30 restaurants in 30 days.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, like Sam's definitely has to be a part of the 30 and 30 at least, right? We had all the big players in Peterborough on there, breakfast, lunch, dinner, the whole 9 yards. And so it was also when he first started with us. And so we're like, go call Sam's Deli and find out if she's interested. We hadn't talked to her at all about it. She'd been liking the posts about other restaurants. And we know she's really close with Susan at Hanoi House and stuff like that. So we knew that she was aware. And he literally called, and I'm paraphrasing a bit, but he called and he's like, hey, this is Chance calling from Wide Drive Eats. And she responded with, fucking took you long enough.
That's verbatim.
Like it was like, where you guys been? Like, why are we not doing this?
Put a smile on my face right away.
When they first opened, I was doing my career thing, and so anytime I was in town working, that's where we went for lunch, because it was like my little 10 seconds of happiness. But like Sam's it's the best. So when I started chasing donuts, I approached 2 people I knew in the industry, and I said, hey, can I come and watch you do you, and I'll wash your dishes. That was the deal. And so I went to the Pin and worked with my friend B and Nadine. And Nadine's like been food industry for 20, 30 years here. So, and then she opened the Pin recently, like bought it and flipped it. And then my friend B, she's a great chef. So they were teaching me how to cook over there. And I'd do Sam's at lunch and then the Pin at dinner time and just walk in between the 2 restaurants. And I just watched and saw how they did their thing, and like Sam's work ethic, I was like, oh, you got to be like some next level people to do this industry. Like it's not if you think you're going to be 12 hours, no, you're like 16-hour days every day if you want to produce real food. And if you don't, Cisco will happily take your business.
But that's where the personality comes across. If you like, just take Sam for example. If she was behind the counter, and given she's not there as often anymore, she goes early in the morning, creates the menu, does all the behind the scenes work that gets overlooked,
and then goes and moms it up at home.
Exactly, right?
Back in the day when she was the one serving you and making your sandwich, what people overlooked was you'd sit there, and like any other place you go into while you're waiting for your coffee, while you're waiting for even your McDonald's, you're like, how's your day going? Like, blah, blah, blah.
Time.
Yeah, she would look at you straight in the face, give you a look, and walk away, because she had to make that sandwich. There's 40 other people behind you that also want their sandwich on their lunch hour.
One of the most impressive things with her, especially that lunch rush, because like people don't realize how many sandwiches they crank out.
Oh, it's insane.
A day. They're doing business out of that place.
Oh yeah.
And she will have 15 or 16 orders in her head. So she's cranking them out in order. And like, there's been a couple times she's like, don't talk to me right now, because she's got this and this and this and this and this has to be done and this has to go out and this has to, like, it's that. And then my favorite part was, I don't think she does it anymore. At least I never noticed it. But like, if you didn't thank her for your sandwich, she'd call you on it. And I thought it was the most beautiful thing. damn straight you call it, like, you're welcome. And I was like, I loved it because it just bit a little bit. Oh,
well, and you get to a certain point too where
but that's the character. That's you need that in a food industry for that business, especially if it's sole proprietor to survive. You like, I don't know if you know, like Susan, right?
Yeah.
She's a different personality altogether, but like caring and kind in the same way, and hardcore devoted to food. And like her husband was my plumber, and he's unreal good, and he's the exact same kind of personality, like just hardworking, want to help, community based, like good food, good service, good product. Like it's great. I like these people.
So you obviously know them well.
I reached out to a lot of food industry people, and I got a lot of people that were interested in giving me advice and helping me along and high-fiving me along the way. And I had a lot of people kind of cold shoulder me, stop watching me, block me on Instagram, ignore what I'm doing. And it's like, I don't want that, which is fine. Like, if you don't want to talk to me, that's cool. But like, I would much rather come and talk to you about food and your cooking and like come see your process and go to events together. And like, it's a small town. We can do that stuff, you know, like
there's a line in the sand. And I do understand both points of view. Like people like Sam and Susan and all of those guys helping each other. They're competition, but they're not competition.
Not very different menus, very different food, very different hours, you know, like
we've said it about Why Drive Eat since day one, that I love the team mentality on it. So the people that downloaded, so Hanoi House was our first restaurant. Susan's been in our ear and answering any questions and all that since like
she's answering my questions. I send her a text and she'll be like,
I'm talking 2 years ago when this was like a thought in the back of my head before Joel and Chance even existed. Just like, we should do this while we do Y Drive. And you getting her clientele on there wasn't just getting her clientele to eat her food. They were also the first ones to order Sam's, the first ones to order Dr. J's, the first ones to order each restaurant when they got on. And those people brought their clientele that then ordered. I watched the numbers, and somebody who's ordered 12 or 13 orders has only ordered the same restaurant twice. Like, it's not.
Yeah, now they've got the app access. It's like, what else could I have? That's great.
100%. And there's so many different options on there.
I don't know if it was you. You guys do Boardwalk at all?
Yeah.
Okay. So I ordered like hot chocolate chip cookies at 9:30 at night one time.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just like Connor, the another group of guys that we talk to a lot. Those guys are brilliant.
I didn't know them until we went in there to show them how to use the app. They were awesome.
They're another restaurant that I approached, and like Connor is like food genius. Like the guy's got so much knowledge in that head just on food. And then you talk to Dylan, and he's the same with the gaming, and it's like, you could grab anything and he can tell you about it, about the maker, about the artist that did the art on the front of the bot. Like, it's like, you guys are some next level stuff.
I'd only ever heard, because pandemic, right? Pandemic hits, you're not
hot chocolate chip cookies and beat it.
But I mean, when they because they were on
gluten free.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They're on Skip, and which is fine. They had to do that.
A lot of people do like multiple services, right?
For sure. Yeah. And so I've never ordered from them on Skip because I was like, it's a Boardwalk, like it's a game place. Like, okay, whatever, move on to the next. There's 100 options.
Oh, it's great.
It wasn't until I went in there and I started talking to them and realized, like, this is a legitimate chef with a legitimate kitchen and a legitimate menu, and like,
oh, he's got like great skill sets, and like was a real chef.
Yep.
Like, and then him and his brother were sick of like that run. Like, that's a hard slog.
Yep.
I'll go be a chef for myself.
No, but it goes back to being unique.
It's very inspirational for people to do stuff like that. So it's neat to watch.
The passion behind it, and that's, I think you fall into that category for sure.
All those people we've talked about have all influenced me to open my business, and I don't know that I would have made it without any of them. Like, they've all been super supportive and like, go do it. I told Sam, I was like, I got to take in more money. She's like, then take in more money.
Yep.
Like, well, I don't want to take in more money. She's like, then you're gonna have no money. I was like, all right, I'll take in more money then. Like, she's like, go, you're almost there, just do it.
The passion behind it is what can help bring the clientele, though.
Yeah,
like you mentioned Mark at the beginning, who, just because of all the connections, like, he's Lisa from Couture Candy's brother, and
I didn't know that until I met Lisa, and then she's like, yeah, my brother's across the street. I was like, you guys are some entrepreneurial folk.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly it. So, not picking on him by any means, because I've said this directly to him, but a hat and clothing store in downtown, it's not something any of us woke up and thought A, we wanted to do, or B, we needed. But then he goes and does it, and it's like, you know what? Downtown was missing this. Like, downtown was missing a place you could walk into. You could pick stuff off the shelf again. Like, what's your other option? Go to the mall. Like, it's not...
Like, go to, like, Lids or something, right? But
exactly.
I would much rather go to the guy that owns the store in the city I work at. You know, like, I don't
100%.
I don't like big corporate stuff. So, like, I don't want to support it.
Yep. So it's 100% it. Like, having that conversation while you're walking around pulling hats off the shelf or trying a sweater on and talking to somebody about something you're passionate about.
He's got a neat idea with that. I like the podcasting stuff and the sports knowledge stuff, and like
You just put such a big smile on Matt's face.
well, they're throwing.
Actually, this is the hockey tournament right here.
The hockey pool.
So
yeah.
if anyone hasn't signed up, it's too late, suckers.
It's full.
But next year,
it's good
next year.
because it's like it creates its own little like community of like sports nerds to hang out or whatever, right? Like it's just something that someone wouldn't have thought to add into a business.
Well, he
right?
did the March Madness bracket.
Yeah.
And I was talking shit to everybody I knew that was in that bracket.
For a week.
I finished third. That's pretty good. Out of like 35
did
people.
you win?
I got money.
Were
yeah.
you even the
But look
best
how many people had
person
fun with
in
that,
your
right?
bit-
Like, it's a
in
great
your
idea.
workplace?
No.
Oh.
He who shall not be named won the whole thing.
Yeah.
Voldemort.
Voldemort, yeah.
Yeah. Either I'm going to win the hockey pool or Graham will finish above you. Those are the only two outcomes I'm going to accept in the hockey pool.
Yeah. I'm going to win the hockey pool. I got a good idea.
Doubt it.
I got a good idea.
I'm doing Selection Sunday this Sunday.
How are you
We're
going to win a
picking
hockey
matchups.
pool? You do realize that a Montreal Canadiens player isn't even an option at this point.
I was
right?
just gonna
Exactly.
say
That's how I'm
go
gonna win.
Habs.
Thank you.
Really?
Thank you.
Oh, that's the perfect time to end this.
That's my team.
I love it.
Oh, at least you have lots of time to
That
make
was
donuts
like early
for the
'90s
playoffs.
Patrick Waugh stuff, though. I just stuck with them ever since. So
Yeah. My dad's a big Habs fan, so I cheered for them.
yeah, they're. I have.
My
I
dad was
really,
a big Chavs fan, so I'm.
We lost PK, and I got a little upset, but we're okay. We'll be
Yeah, it hurt.
I'll
He
give
did
the
so many
team
good things
credit.
for Ontario. I was sad to see, or Montreal. I was sad to see him go.
Yeah, no, he's an absolute stellar person.
But go Habs, yeah.
Yeah. Nah.
He's on me.
That's right. I would have worn my jersey if I knew it.
This is a sport, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
I used
actually,
to work for a professional basketball team.
Okay.
So, you know.
I've actually really enjoyed it. So Chance has followed sports, but he lived on the East Coast most of his life.
Yeah.
And so obviously you don't have baseball, hockey, basketball to go to physically.
Montreal's the closest.
Yeah.
Northeast
for-
or whatever back in right. Yeah.
Well, they'd have like some
Quebec-
Quebec League teams. That
Yeah,
Some
the Quebec
weird
Major
Quebec
Junior League,
baseball
Halifax
stuff.
Mooseheads.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halifax Mooseheads. That's
Yeah.
right.
It's a good team too.
I guess there'd be university stuff though, right? Some of the university hockey's wild good.
And the football, St. Mary's,
Yeah.
well known.
I went to Thunder Bay for school, and they had the Wildcats, and this is some of the best hockey I've ever watched.
So I remember when I moved out west, just mentioning football and obviously CFL being the biggest it gets in Canada. When I moved out west, I lived in Calgary first. Then I moved to Grand Prairie, which supports Edmonton.
Yeah, so you're running into all sorts of crazy.
A lot of the people in Calgary, you had 50% were Calgary fans, 50% were Saskatchewan fans. And it was like literally the place I worked at the time closed down for the day when Calgary and Saskatchewan were playing in a championship game. And it was crazy. And my line was always just, I'm from Ontario. We don't watch football. We just win. That's it. Like we don't actually go to games.
That's
We
right.
just win
That's
championships.
right. Go Ticats.
Yeah.
Your match. They were like it.
Anyway, I really appreciate you coming down. I love how passionate you are about food and the local food
Yeah.
industry here. And
If it doesn't work, it's not because I didn't try. So I'm trying to give it my best. And
I have no doubt about the donuts. I mean, that's just one of those things that you're right. Peterborough needs it, and the passion that goes in behind it. You're going to do nothing but grow it.
doing local stuff.
But it's just the whole food industry in Peterborough.
And like, I don't know if you've noticed, but it's the last years, it's crazy. Like people have been closing left, right, and center, and you look, and this one's going, and this one's going. That scared me the most. Watching so many people step out that had been in business for 20, 25 years. It's like, where are you going? You can't leave now.
So
like,
here's a very
but it's
not confrontational. What's the word I'm looking for?
controversial.
Here's a very controversial take on it, and I realize we all have friends that lost their businesses or lost their restaurant during COVID.
Yeah.
So this is a general statement, not a specific. There are exceptions. I find that when it comes to the restaurant industry, everybody took a hit. Don't get me wrong. Oh, sure. Every restaurant owner took a massive punch to the gut, but a lot of the ones that aren't here anymore were either a few years away from retirement, or they were already on thin ice, or they weren't really passionate about it anymore.
To pivot, don't have the tech skills to figure it out online, don't have there's all sorts of things.
It truly was. And again, I'm going to emphasize this just so the soundbite doesn't ever just look like me picking on people that went out of business.
Yeah.
This is general and not trying to exclude anyone. It really allowed for the cream to rise. Like, it really allowed for the ones that are truly passionate.
We have all sorts of amazing businesses that have popped up during COVID.
Oh, 100%.
Hanoi has opened 2 locations.
Yep.
Right? Like, and like friends of ours opened a bubble tea place. And like,
which one?
Milk and Tea.
Oh, yeah. They went on the app. We got the train today. They'll be on in the next couple of days.
Phil was in yesterday chatting with donuts. He got my donuts. He's like a donut fan now.
They're amazing.
So I went to high school with Kathy, and to see them come and open local business. And like, I know Kathy's parents were like local business owners for years because they own the convenience store beside my public school. And
oh, right on.
So like,
see, I don't know anything about.
So they have that in them, and they came back from Toronto, and it's like, that's right. Come back from Toronto.
Yep.
Be a local. Do local stuff. Dive into the city because the city's falling apart. Like, let's do it. Let's go. You know.
Funny story about him. So again, I've never had a coffee. Not a huge. I'm not a big hot drink person, so I'm not experienced when it comes to teas.
I make cold brew.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I do. It's good.
But I went in there and I was like, I bet this is something that Erica would like. And so I went in there and I picked out a couple options for her and our 7-year-old, and I think Joel was in the office at the time, so something for him. And I told him, and I was like, hey man, I'm not really a big tea person. What do you think I'd like? And he's like, well, name off some drinks you really like. And so I named off like some different cans, like Arizonas and different
Monster Red.
Yeah, Monsters.
Yeah.
And different iced teas and stuff like that. And he's like, okay, give me a second. And he goes, and the problem was he went and he just made something. And he's like, this isn't on the menu, but this is something I really enjoy. And he hands it to me. And it was pretty simple. It was essentially a green tea with some added flavors and stuff like that. And the little sour lychee balls. And he gives it to me. And now it's me that wants to keep going back every day. And
I had one yesterday. They're great.
Oh, it's incredible. So when we added them to the app, when we went and sat down with them in the restaurant to kind of give them the spiel and let them know the ins and the outs of it, and I was like, under one condition, that drink I like that's not on the menu is on our menu. And he's like, all right, we'll do it.
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah. I was talking to him yesterday when he stopped in, and he's got the same mindset as me, and I love hearing it. Like, get out in the community, do community stuff. Like, have good customer service. Have a good product, enjoy your customers, enjoy the Peterborough downtown, dive right in. And they're doing it too. So it's nice seeing all of these people do their thing really well, because then it lets me go, maybe I can do my thing really well. You know, like it's super inspiring. It's great.
Well, you look at them, you look at the Capital with Mark, you look at your Tragically Dipped.
Candy Couture, they went viral on TikTok, like sold out viral. Like, good for you.
But I mean, what I'm getting at is these are ideas that I think if it wasn't for a pandemic, if it wasn't for a mind-altering shift, people wouldn't be taking the chance on not dumbing it down, the effort, the work, the creativity and all that, but the simpler ideas of candy shop, donut shop, tea shop,
all the stuff we've lost over the last 20 years.
But it's now come down to people are like, I don't want to speak for people, but it's almost like their headspace is in a, well, it can't get worse than this, so I might as well go take a chance.
That's exactly what it is.
And like you look at Mark, I mean, he's still obviously doing real estate and has his side hustles and that he's been doing for years that allowed him to take this chance. But I mean, I think it just got to a point where he's like, this is what I want to wake up in the morning and do, and I'm going to go and do it. And hopefully it's super successful for him and everybody else involved. But
and like you said, if it's not, at least you tried it.
And you're not ultimately that worse off. Trying. Like you can take a hit and it's not the end of the world anymore. Nowadays with corporations, I mean,
you only get to go around once, and you don't know what's going to stop you tomorrow. And it's just get up, go do the thing you like if you want to, or if you just do work a job, work it really well. Like just go have a good day, you know?
Yep.
But like, if you can do it for yourself, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, 100%. But anyway, we're making a habit of these multiple sign-offs, so I do appreciate you coming in. Learned a lot. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, Chance, for coming on your first episode.
I'll get donuts next time.
Don't worry about it. I'll see
our first
repeat customer. I'll see you before that.
We'll make sure
I'll be
Next week on PTBO Connect, Mike Frampton.
Yeah. Favorite donuts?
We record now on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a cruller guy too.
Okay.
I do love crullers, but if there's an option, let's try your Boston. Can we call is it Boston cream or just Boston or?
Yeah, I just call them Boston's, but you can call them Boston cream.
No, that's been my go-to since I was a kid, and so let's give it a go.
Nice.
All right,
cool.
Love it.
Good donuts, you guys.
What do you want, Matt?
I'm a cruller guy.
Cruller.
Yeah, I'm doing GF crullers right now, but I do regular ones too.
You mentioned fritter. Sorry, I'm doubling back to like a really random thing here. You like rushed over fritter.
Yeah.
What flavor?
Right now it's just apple, like a standard, but we'll change that up as we get different. Like apples are the most readily available right now in stores and stuff. So
perfect. Well, everybody get down there, line up early, give it a try. If you don't get your donuts that day, make sure his name is Mike. Make sure to yell at him from afar.
Yeah, that's right.
That'll definitely guarantee your
That'll
donuts.
fire me right up, and then you'll never get donuts. Yeah.
Thanks a lot. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Matt for putting this all together. And until next week, bye.
Cool.
Later.